New this morning, the Bay Area is facing a number of challenges when it comes to fighting the spread of COVID-19. Joining us live now via Skype, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning to you. Got a lot of topics we want to hit, but first, your administration just launched a new task force last week to address the racial impact of the coronavirus. What are the short and long-term goals for this task force?
Well, the short-term goals are to do whatever we can to make sure that the most vulnerable are not disproportionately impacted by this disease. And we have ample data to show that the risk factors for COVID-19 are already disproportionately represented, particularly amongst African Americans. And so we are working to contact those communities. We launched last week a mobile testing unit that is going out and particularly finding people who were just released from jails, a very high-risk place, and getting out into our communities that often are cut off from the best information. But long term, we want to take this moment of awareness and change policies and legislation so that we don't see these disparities when the next pandemic or other health crisis hits. It really is just startling when you see that certain racial groups have 2 times, 3 times the risk of fatality, as well as exposure to environmental factors. These are things that we have the power to change. And it's not just about access to health care, it's also about creating healthy environments for everyone.
Yeah, eye-opening data for sure. And another major issue, Mayor, addressing the homeless crisis there in Oakland. Over the weekend, you told KPIX 5 about 200 homeless people had been relocated to hotels. But at last count, there are about 4,000 homeless people in Oakland. What is your administration doing to get more people some of that safe shelter?
Well, that number has increased since I last talked. We're at more than 380 people that have actually been moved into our hotels. And we've been very fortunate, certainly compared to our city across the bay, because our shelters are already designed to be socially distant. So we've only had to move 53 individuals from shelters into hotels because we've invested in things like cabin communities and converted SROs and safe RV parking. And now we are absolutely focusing on trying to get people off of the streets and into safe places like our hotels. We're obviously focusing on the most vulnerable first, our senior citizens and people with underlying medical conditions. And the governor's announcement last week was a good one for Oakland because one of those Motel 6s is in Oakland. And so our county is working right now in partnership with us to see if we can begin to open up a 3rd hotel in Oakland.
An ongoing process. And Mayor, overnight, President Trump said he will halt immigration to the U.S. during the pandemic. What are your thoughts on this?
It's not surprising. This has been this president's ongoing blame mongering. I wish he would focus more on the work at hand to address the health crisis. The way that he announced this really continued his blaming immigrants for the ills, particularly economic. When I look at our immigrant community in California, I see our workers that are keeping our shelves stocked in our grocery stores. I see the people in our emergency rooms, and but for a broken immigration system, these are great Americans, and they should be respected and honored, not vilified, as this president has continued to do.
A lot to watch in the day ahead on this particular topic. Mayor Libby Schaaf, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
All right, be well, take care of everyone.
You too.